to all. Welcome to the Sportsline podcast on CHCH. So pleased that you have checked in. I'm Bubba O'Neil. Hey, as we love to promote Southern Ontario and the Golden Horseshoe in particular, it's a stronghold for outstanding athletes, coaches, officials, and executives. In today's case, it's water cooler conversation as we get down with the Sportsline Square Off. Well, he's no stranger to the CHCH family. In fact, he's the first person telling viewers to rise and shine on our popular morning live program. From the guy that would and pretty much would do anything, Tim Bolen fulfilled his adventure reporter role with a smile on his face. Now he's a mature anchor type, reading the news alongside Annette Hav as the co-host on Morning Live. But no doubt, as you see in those AM hours, he has a true passion for sports. Well, it's been about a month, and we had to bring you back. Because, I mean, there's just so much going on. And as I said, you have a passion, unlike few others, that you just fit this format. So thanks for joining us.
Thanks, buddy. When you said you want to come on today, I'm like, I wonder what we're going to be talking about, Bubs. But, yeah, let's go. Ready to go. Oh, yeah.
How are things actually for you right now?
So it's great. The show's great. I love coming on here and spewing some opinions too. It's, as a sports fan, it's the busiest time of the year. Mm-hmm. It's the greatest time of the year. For my schedule, it is not, because I wake up at the crack of stupid. You know what I mean? So trying to
You're about 2, 3 in the morning?
Yeah, 2 is when it goes off. Because here's the thing. So I need to. So the game's tonight. I want to stay up and watch the game. So I need a nap this afternoon at some point to be able to stay up and watch the game, because then I got to talk about the game tomorrow. So then if I fall asleep, then I want to get up early and watch the rest of the game and see what I missed and fast forward through it. And then there's the nervous energy of what's going to happen in the game too, because there's the worker bee cap, and then you take that off and you put on the fan cap, and just who knows, man.
Well, your kids I guess they're getting a little older now.
Well, they're into it. They're into it. Yeah, they're into it. So specifically, the middle guy Gabe, he's 8. He's like, who are we cheering for, Dad? Okay. Anything, because there's always sports on in the house. Okay. My wife Liz is amazing, because there's always something on, and it's every time it's just who we cheering for, what color we cheering for.
Right.
He'll have his Matthews jersey on tonight, so he'll be. Shamefully, I'm putting them through the pain. But even the girls, Pippa and Fee, they'll sit there and watch it for a little bit with Dad and see what happens. And then Gabe, before he goes to bed, he's just let me know who wins. So I'll always write it on the chalkboard as I'm leaving the house to let him know who won.
Okay, that's amazing. And now you haven't brought them in there. That's just following Daddy a little bit? I
think a little bit, where it's just Dad's into it. It's always on. So let's kind of get interested into what Dad's into.
Okay.
They still have their own stuff too, but yeah, there's fandom there.
Are they playing hockey?
Yeah, Gabe plays hockey. Yeah, the girls do gymnastics, but Gabe plays hockey.
Okay.
So he's into it. So he's either going to be an NHL player, but if that doesn't work out, he's going to be a builder.
Right.
So there we go.
He'll be a builder.
He'll be a builder.
Or a morning live host.
Yeah, talking hairdo, as we like to call the family biz.
Well, we're talking hockey, so let's square it off now, folks. Let's get right down to it. Folks, hey, those Toronto Maple Leafs are down 3-1 in their East quarterfinal to the Boston Bruins. Following Saturday's Game 4 loss, what are your expectations for Game 5 tonight in Beantown, Mr. Tim Bolen?
My expectations are very low. And that settles in as a Leaf fan because of the empathy that they have provided us the past, well, we know how many years. And then the effort that we're seeing. And the effort on Saturday night was despicable, specifically in that first 40 minutes where the urgency is just not there. I'm saying the same thing that anybody else watching or covering the team would admit to the same. And I go back to and I know this is a big thing for you, Bubs, about it actually goes from Game 3. And they lost the Game 3. They were down by a goal late, and the great Joe Bowen was very upset at the fan base in Game number 3. And then he sent something out on social media, and I found this interesting because I can compare this as a Leaf fan, but I can also compare this to even the players. Because I think what is happening, they are not being proactive, they are being reactive. And that was what Joe was saying. What he wants to see is fans to be proactive and help them out rather than being reactive. It's very hard to be proactive with this squad.
You know, I feel like, everyone undersold the Boston Bruins. There was a faction of Maple Leaf fans out there were saying, you know, at the end of the season, we're getting down to close to the end of the regular season. Like, we want Boston. We want Boston. Like, I think you might have been one of them.
I was one of them. Yeah.
We're 0-4 against them. We want them. Mm-hmm. But I think your reasoning, though, was slightly different than some of the opinions I had heard on some of the radio shows and the talk shows and, you know, all the social media that's out there, that people believed that this was not the same, that this might have been the weakest Boston Bruins team of all this, I mean, going back to 1959, what, six straight series losses, that this was the weakest edition. The Bergerons are gone. There no more Chara, and that there was just a little rat that was out there still, and that Pasternak hadn't been playing well down the stretch, and this was the time to get them. And I feel like, be careful for what you wish for. There's a certain amount of talent that the Maple Leafs do have that it cannot be taken away. Your Marners, your Matthews scoring 69 goals and leading the league this year. But there's something to be said about individuals against a team. And that maybe even Sheldon Keefe, and I've seen this, you might agree, you might not, he's getting out-coached big time. Even when he's got the last change at home.
We knew that with Montgomery. Montgomery's one of the best coaches in the league. He should be up for Coach of the Year. Yes, the Bruins are good. We knew the Bruins were good. The reason that I wanted to play the Bruins is I've always said, if they are going to do anything with this squad, if they are ever going to end the drought, the Stanley Cup drought, the Boston Bruins have to be involved somehow. They have to get through them somehow. Could it be this year? Perhaps. A lot of things have to change. Mm-hmm. The Bruins haven't been that good outside of Marchand, right? Marchand, Swayman. Okay. Mm-hmm. But even on Saturday night, they didn't even test Swayman that much. You know what I mean? Like, there was a lot of this outside shot, like not up in his grill, right, not getting shots on goal with traffic in front. Like, I think on Saturday specifically, they did not really test him. He had played well up in the past 3 games. Mm-hmm. But Pasternak, I know he scored a couple of goals. He hasn't been dominant. No. There's a number of players on that team. DeBrusk has been amazing on the power play. And listen, special teams is a big thing in this series. And even Keith said that, I think it might have been yesterday, that special teams and goaltending has been the difference in this series. And we can admit to that. How
can a power play that has Matthews, Marner, Nylander for one game, mind you, but you could go on and on, Riley, how can they be so poor?
Yeah, maybe they're trying to be too cute. You know what I mean? This drop pass stuff. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? When they're getting into the zone, and I know they're all about puck possession, and that was a Kyle Dubas thing that is transferred into, like with Sheldon Keefe, puck possession, not giving the puck away. But I kind of like old school. Toss that puck in there and you go get it. You know what I mean? Like, change something up. With those talented players, they're not like that. They like the puck on their stick.
But they can't win those.
I know.
When you toss a puck in the zone, you're not going to beat the Boston Bruins playing that game.
I know, but maybe it needs to have somebody else on that power play that can do that.
What about the goaltending situation?
Well, they're gonna go as far in the next game, 2 games, 3 games with Joseph Woll. Okay, so it's his net now. Let's see what he can do tonight. I know it's not even confirmed. Just confirm that it's Joseph Woll. It's his turn. You're not going to go back to Samsonov at this point. Not that he's been. There's a couple of moments like he needed to make those saves. It's not about. It's not about. You don't need 60 saves. You need the save at the right time. You know what I mean? And there were certain moments, I go back to Game 3 when Bertuzzi and Marchand are going at each other. Everybody's focused on that. Meanwhile, Frederick's putting it short side on Samsonov. That's just backbreaking. Those type of saves are the ones that you need if you're going to get through a series, and he wasn't providing them.
Are you surprised at the amount of people, I shouldn't say people, I'm going to go deeper, not just fans, because fans are fickle, but media types, Kelly Rudy, calling out Mitch Marner on television. We don't see that normally, right? Biznasty on the ESPN version, calling out Mitch Marner. We have seen a faction of people on social media, and I know social media is social media, but for me, I have never seen the influx of negativity towards the Maple Leafs after Game 3 like this. And calling out, and I never call out effort, because I truly believe no athlete ever wants to go out there, especially in the playoffs, and lose. But it's happening.
But is it the proper effort that they're giving? Yeah, I understand about the effort comments, and Keith said that after the game. It wasn't for lack of effort. okay. you know what I mean? But like effort also comes in maybe doing something that you wouldn't normally do. And there was moments on Saturday night that Marner was just not, I don't know. He was stick checking and not giving the effort that he might normally do. So I don't know. Is he hurt? Who knows? It seems like they're secretive about everything else when it comes to Nylander.
Yeah, that's weird how secret they are.
And now Matthews, like what is going on here? You know what I mean? Like a possibility about playing tonight, and you could see on Saturday night, like he was not himself. He has become a great two-way player. He was not himself on Saturday night. He didn't even play the third. He was pulled from the game. So, but what's going on with him? So I guess we know that Willie had some migraines, according to Elliot Friedman, but like everything is so secretive. What's happening here? Because
should they be more upfront with that?
Well,
kind
I
of
think
stuff?
that's a league
because
thing. That's a league thing.
Right.
That's not a Maple Leafs thing. That's across the board because you don't want to give the advantage to the other team. But like with, and I'm not a big gambler, but with gambling now, like I think the league has to do something about transparency with fans and what's going on out there.
It's just Nylander missing. I mean, and you're right. I mean. Hey, the guy never missed a game in his career, right? So for him to miss 2 playoff games or 3 playoff games was a little shocking. So, yeah, obviously something was going on there. You said the name Elliot Friedman there, and according to the NHL Insider, he believes that the Maple Leafs have hit a low point and that this is the end for this group. Your thoughts?
We are into year 9, I think, with Mitch Marner. We're into year 8 with Austin Matthews. I just had a quick little peek because I think back and who could you compare it to? Like, and Alex Ovechkin pops into my head, and Nick Backstrom with the Capitals. Like the two of them. Maybe it wasn't. Who else? Holtby, I guess, was a goaltender back then. It took Ovechkin 10 years to win the cup. 10 years. Now, if you go back and look at it, they were making it past that first round series. A lot of the time they'd be facing Pittsburgh and losing to Sid and the Pens, maybe in the second round. So they did make it past a couple series, but they never made it into a conference final until they broke through that year and won the Stanley Cup. So that was year 10, and they kept going back to the well with the same core. Can they go back with the same core again next year? No. It's not a core 4 anymore. There's 2 of them that are leading the charge here because there's 2 that are signed for the extended future. So, and you got new people coming in. You know what I mean? You got a big new boss man in Keith Pelly taking over MLSC. Now, he's not going to come and clear house, but you have to expect if things don't go right tonight or even on Thursday night, if they're able to get past tonight, or even on Saturday night, you would have to think some sort of changes will be made. Because it hasn't worked out.
Didn't you think there'd be changes last year?
Yeah, you think so, but they are. You just believe at some point it's going to click. It's gonna happen. I don't think it's gonna happen anymore. Like you just don't. Like they have to. I'm talking about this empathy that I have as a broadcaster, but also more as a fan. Because I think even the last time I was in, we were going into the playoffs and my expectations were low to begin with. They were, because you can't have high expectations. I think anybody in Leafs Nation has those expectations of show me, prove it to me, rather than we're going to be great. That's where it is. We're always back on our heels. We're reactive. We are. It is true. We're not proactive because they haven't proven it to us to be
But
proactive.
wasn't this the year? Like, I mean, you have a 69-goal scorer, a 40-goal scorer, a guy like Marner, which we've bragged about. Hey, you know what? I don't even think it's the core 4. I think it's actually the core 5. Like, you got to put in Riley in that as well too. Yeah. Right. And then you have a captain as well too that's getting paid. I mean, there's some guys that are getting paid big money. Like, I just feel like I know you're right, and I think there was a lot of people in Leafs Nation, people here that follow the team on an every game basis that said, you know what, I don't care what happens in the regular season. Call me when the playoffs happen. And I thought there would be more excitement. I felt like there was a little bit more, but people jumping on and off the bandwagon like crazy this year. And if they were to happen to win tonight in Boston, you know that bandwagon is going to be full again.
No, because they're going home, and we know what they're like play like at home in the
they're horrible.
playoffs. 6 in a
How
row.
is that possible?
Well, that's the thing. And then going back to, I know we're going back to the well with these Joe Bolen comments, but I can see. I've been in that building. You're just waiting for something bad to happen. There's scar tissue there that has been built up over all these years. Specifically
Sorry. Edmonton, there's scar tissue. Vancouver, there's scar tissue.
How?
Going to the Stanley Cup twice and losing.
No, it's not
the Flames, the same thing too. You see it when your team is down by a goal and there's a minute or two left, and the fans start to rile up and go crazy, and almost they're like pressuring the other team, even though they have the lead, trying to lift your team. I never see that at this building.
Yeah, you're never going to get that at this building. So if you go in thinking that, you're not going to get it. They need the building needs to be rejuvenated with something. Again, being that reactive, if it is a big hit, which we saw, and that's the thing on Saturday night that was so disappointing. Like, just inspiring tributes to Bob Cole and all those fantastic calls.
Yeah, it
looked like the building was going off. They were ready to explode, and they lay a turd. That's what I mean. Like, it's just like you're expecting something huge, and it just doesn't come through. And it's been there, done that.
Is it the coach's fault? Like, whose fault is it to prepare the players to play out of the gate? Is it the coach's fault, or is it the players' fault?
It's the players. It's the players. The coach can motivate you and put the proper lines out there the best they can, and Keefe will feel the wrath if they don't achieve their goal tonight or down the road. Yes, you have to put the proper systems in place, but it is up to the players. It is. And that's why some people don't want to play in the hotbed in Toronto, because the expectations are so high and the scrutiny is always there, and the mental side of the game is always there. You're going to have 50 people around your locker if you did something wrong, where you're not going to see that maybe somewhere else.
Last thing on this, on Elliott's point, if the Leafs, regardless, if they lose this series, is the head coach, the coach that a year ago, just less than a year ago, signed a contract extension, is he toast?
He's gone. It doesn't. The contract extension, that doesn't matter. That's the one thing that Leafs Nation does have is money doesn't matter, because it also depends on who else is out there. You know what I mean?
There's a lot of guys.
There's a lot of guys. Look at how many coaches have been let go. Because that's what you can do as a general manager or ownership. Let's just get rid of the coach and see if that works. So that would be unfortunate if that's the only thing that happens this year, if they do flame out.
The Rangers sweep away the Capitals and Alexander Ovechkin with ease. Ovi, no points. Are the President's Trophy winners the Cup favorites in your opinion?
Well, so if you look at the Rangers compared to the Leafs, what do they have? They got firepower up front. They got Panarin. They got Zibanejad. They got Chris Kreider. Well, look at that guy.
Kreider, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they got the veteran presence. They got on the back end. You got tough guy in Jacob Trouba. You got Adam Fox, Norris Trophy candidate, and then look at the goaltending. You got Shesterkin. Like, all the way through, you got some of the best in the league. So that is why they're the President's Trophy. That's not always the case. If you're the best of the regular season, doesn't mean you're going to be great in the playoffs. I never gave the Capitals a chance anyways, because the only reason they got in was some of their goaltending was great, because their goal differential was like one of the worst in history. Yeah. So it never really gave them a chance. The only reason Alex Ovechkin is still playing because he wants to break Gretzky's record. That's the only reason, I believe. He got his Stanley Cup. He knew this team was not going to win the Stanley Cup, so they walked all over him. I'll warn you though too. Look out for the Carolina Hurricanes, because they're a very, very talented team. I know the Islanders were able to sneak one out of them in like double overtime, but they'll get them tonight. You got Rod Brind'Amour. Talk about a coach, huh? Rod Brind'Amour. That's a guy you want to play for. You know what I mean? A guy who did play and had success playing. That's when maybe a coach makes a
guy that's
difference.
Not making a lot of money either.
Well, he could be making a whole lot more money somewhere else. So there's that. The other thing is, too, though, there is a romance that I have. I have a soft spot for the Rangers because they're at Original Six. Yeah. And I want, as an NHL fan, as a hockey fan, I want eyeballs, even casual eyeballs on the playoffs. You'll get more eyeballs in the Big Apple than you would elsewhere. So if the Rangers keep moving things along, that's not a bad thing in my eyes, and probably not a bad thing in Gary Bettman's eyes either.
No, New York is the hockey hub, very much like Toronto is in this country. Whether other Canadians want to think that or not, but the reality is Toronto is the hockey hotbed of the country, and New York is certainly has that history. And I mean, we can just go back a couple of years ago. It was at the mid '90s when Messier lifted that cup, ending that long drought, and that team took over the city. And you're talking about teams with the Mets and the Yankees, and the Mets were good at that point too. Yankees and of course the two football teams. There's something about the blue shirts that are really, really good this year. They have a head coach that has been to numerous coaches. I'd have to investigate a little further. How many teams has that guy taken the cup team? Or at least conference championships too. Peter Laviolette. It's weird.
Has he won a Stanley Cup?
With Carolina, did he not?
Right. Okay.
I feel like he gets there a lot. Nashville, he turned around that program as well too. Philadelphia, he's had some years. A really efficient coach over the years that continues to win. Maybe hasn't won as much as he should. Maybe that's the calling card on that guy. But boy, he seems to last, and he seems to get the best out of the team. And as we talk about the Boston Bruins, and I brought this up, has a system. There's a defined system that you've got to play a particular way, and there's never a question of effort when you're talking about that team. And let's be honest, in comparison to Toronto, in New York, when you don't play well, they're going to let you know it. Mm-hmm. Right? Those fans are gonna let you know it, right? They're gonna throw purses at you. They're not just gonna throw their shirts on the ice, but they're gonna let you know, and they're gonna boo you right off the ice, and not like the sort of wah 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 that you get in Toronto. So yeah, I think they're a really solid team all the way around, and any team that plays them, you're right, all levels, defense, offense, and goaltending. Got to be good every night against.
I don't want to get off topic here, but the Knicks are doing really well too. They could be eliminating the Sixers maybe tonight.
Yes.
You could compare. I know it's different sports, but the similarities between the Knicks and the Leafs. What you can't compare is the crowd that goes to Knicks games.
Oh, yeah.
Similar to the crowd that goes to Leaf games, because they are the rowdier kind, but it's the same type of clientele. I think are down there in the lower bowl. Of the Garden. So.
Yeah, well, that's why they call it the Mecca. That's what you mean. That you're any visiting team, that's where you want to have your best games. Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan scoring, I think it was 60-something points, and then Kobe breaking that record, and LeBron doing something very close to. I think he tied Kobe's number, whatever that was. I think it was 65 points. That is where you are measured in New York City, and not so much in the Nets in Brooklyn, but over in Manhattan at MSG. Hey, the Panthers. Let's talk about this Panthers team. Oh my goodness, they just dusted the Lightning. Tampa and their captain, Steven Stamkos, he's at the end of his 8-year, $64 million deal. He's 34 years old. He wanted a contract extension. There was no conversation, and he was vocally not happy about it. What's next for the captain?
Quickly, shout out Waterdown's Carter Verhaeghe. Oh, yeah. How about that?
Montour?
Montour too.
Yeah.
2 more goals for Verhaeghe last night. Has a franchise record with 20 goals for the Panthers. Isn't it different, though, when you look at the Stamkos situation with the Lightning comparing to, let's say, Matthews or Nylander in Toronto, where the noise was just so much that they had to do something, where the Lightning, they don't have to do something? Would you sign him? You have to sign him. He scored 40 goals this year. I know he's 34, but for the past 3 years, he has had injury woes in the past. Mm-hmm. But for the past 3 years, I think he's played like 80, 79, and like 80 games. And he's produced because he scored 42 goals 3 years ago, like 30-some last year, and then 40
I think he scored the most goals for the team in the postseason.
Yeah, like there's I don't see how you could give him up, because they are still a good team. It's just a tough division. You know what I mean? The Panthers are a very good team. You know what? Whoever's coming out of this series, Bruins Leafs, like they're gonna have a tall task meeting the Panthers, and we saw that last year, and it's similar this year. I didn't think they'd dust them as bad as they did, but I think you would have to sign Stamkos again for a discount. He's a legend there.
That's it. That's if he will accept a discount. Right. I mean, eight at 64.
Yeah.
That was a bargain for 8 years, wouldn't you say, compared to today's salary?
Right.
I mean, look at what the Leafs guys are making at 8 at 64.
They do take discounts there though, because there's no state tax, and you're living in Tampa, so it won't have a 10 in it, or 10 or above. It will be less than that. I don't know if they can work that into their cap. But I would be surprised if Stamkos is not a member of the Lightning next year.
Yeah, it'd be kind of weird not seeing, Kucherov and Point and Stamkos not there. You're right. I have a feeling they will work something out. Though I do believe there are some teams out there, good young teams, and maybe even the Maple Leafs might slip into this category, that need an experienced veteran. Now, there are experienced veterans out there that work hard, but an experienced veteran that's still good. Buffalo, Detroit, someone to show those kids the way. That's still, again, not just an old guy telling, hey, this is what the way to do it, but a guy that also can do it on the ice as well too. I think there's going to be some suitors out there at free agency.
There's one team that pops into my head, the Utah Hockey Club.
Ooh.
Might want to make a bit of a splash with somebody who will be going to the Hockey Hall of Fame.
Ooh, perhaps. That's an interesting selection.
Mm-hmm. They got plenty of salary cap space.
I'm really interested in your thoughts here. Folks, you've probably seen it 16,000 times that maybe you've tuned out of it now if you've been watching any of these playoffs on Sportsnet. Boston Pizza is running an ad right now that is attempting to unify the country and its 31-year Stanley Cup drought. The whole program is, are you a fan of this team up for the cup? As in, don't criticize everyone. Let's support our Canadian teams. If the Leafs get knocked out, we'll support someone else. Let's keep the cup in Canada. Would you do so? Do you like this ad?
As a profession, as a journalist, as an anchor, what I like to tell is stories, and what I like to tell are the best stories. What I want from these stories is interest in these stories. The viewers that I talk to are probably not hockey fans. Maybe a casual hockey fan. Would they be up to date on everything that's going on in the league? No. Would they be interested if there's a Canadian team in the Stanley Cup final? You darn bet they would be interested. So then I'm definitely interested in a Canadian team in the Stanley Cup final, and lifting Lord Stanley for the first time in 31 years.
How? That's sacrilege, Tim.
Is it? Why?
Because think about fans in Vancouver. Mm-hmm. They want pain for the Maple Leafs. They want pain. If Edmonton do well, Calgary want pain for the Oilers. Like, these are your rivals.
Yeah.
These are the people that invade your building when they come there. Like, I can't see, first of all, how many 75% of the players on all the American teams are Canadian as well.
Yeah.
Right? So, yeah, there's still lots of stories to be told, and lots of stories when those guys bring the cup from, I don't know if McKinnon brings the cup back out east. Like, there's still that wonderful story.
Or Verhage brings it to Waterloo.
Or Water, you know what I mean? Beautiful, right? Or it comes to Six Nations. You're right. Those stories still exist. But to ever cheer, as a Leaf fan, cheering, can you imagine if Montreal were in it? Would you cheer for Montreal ever?
That's a tough one.
You would be in particular. Would you ever cheer for Ottawa?
Would Ottawa? No. But it's not. But again, I see it as two different. You're asking me as a fan, taking off my talking hairdo hat. Mm-hmm. You're talking specifically as a fan.
Sure.
Okay, so that might be a little bit different.
Well, I see both. I do understand what you're saying with story. You're absolutely correct in that. But I just don't know how you can trade in your Leafs Nation card to support.
It's becoming easier and easier.
To support as especially because I mean, you know this, and Vancouver can't stand you guys. Like, they can't stand any Leaf fans. Like, they just despise it.
Well, it just goes to show that we're better than Vancouver. You know what I mean? Props to my sister who lives out there. But I think it's just good for hockey in Canada if there is a Canadian team in the Stanley Cup final and if there is a Canadian team winning. Specifically, there is one team out west that it would be good for hockey in general if they did make it to the Stanley Cup final and they did win the Stanley Cup.
You're talking about the Oilers.
I'm talking about the Oilers. Specifically because they have one player that needs to be in the Stanley Cup final. He needs to be the focus of attention to all our friends down south, to all of those casual hockey fans that maybe don't watch hockey all the time, to show how good Connor McDavid is.
There's points in that. It's funny. It's funny though. The Oilers fans can't stand the Leaf fans either.
But again, but they have to respect. Let's say if the Leafs do go on a run, be able to turn things around, and Austin Matthews goes on a serious run and is scoring goals. There's no way that you cannot respect that as a hockey fan. You can have your fandom with your team, but you can be a fan of the game too, and a fan of the game in this country.
That's hokey to me. Anyway. They're 15-15 right now, these Blue Jays, these Toronto Blue Jays. Better than I think a lot of people expected out of the gate. And some of their players that were acquired by the likes of the Blue Jays in the offseason seem to be playing well. IKF. Turner.
Yeah.
Is Ross Atkins, who's always criticized, is he commended? Should he be commended for some of these offseason moves? Even some of the moves, Jimmy Garcia right now. These are all players acquired by one Ross Atkins.
Yeah, I've never been somebody that didn't like Ross Atkins' moves. There has been a lot of bad moves. There was a lot of bad moves with Alex Anthopoulos, though. You know what I mean? There's been some good moves with Ross Atkins. I always knew that Justin Turner was going to be a benefactor to this team. Specifically, though, when he arrived in Dunedin and had the proper things to say. And what he was saying is, specifically when he was asked about how do you deal with runners on base and two outs? And what he said, and that he was telling everybody else in the room, is don't grip that bat too hard. You just get that run in. You don't have to hit it out of the park. You don't need 3 runs. You need 1 run. Don't put too much pressure on yourself. Do what you do best and get that run in. And I think there's some players on this team, and we're seeing it again with those specific players not having the best starts through their year, that are maybe trying too hard, that have things being said around them and about their future with the team that maybe they're listening to and are having some bad starts. Now, am I worried about Bo Bichette's start? No, because he's had bad starts in the past, and he'll come around. He's too good a ball player and too consistent of a ball player. There is that guy that is hitting second that I am more concerned about, because it is consistently over the past number of years what we're getting, and that is Vladdy Jr. Not only at the plate, but in the field too. And the things that I'm concerned about is the brain farts that he has constantly.
Did he get picked off this weekend?
He got picked off not last night, the night before. Mm-hmm. Again. There was a play dropping the the
3-2 loss.
The 3-2 loss. That was a tough one. Things happen in baseball. It's a long season. I understand that, but it's the consistency that things are happening that has me a little bit concerned about that. Look at Ross. What Ross has done for the pitching staff. You know what I mean? With Rodriguez, he's come in and he's filling in nicely for that Manoah spot. Mm-hmm. And then Manoah is a whole other topic, because I think he gets one more start in Buffalo to see what he can do, and if he performs like he has in the past, he'll get sent down to Buffalo. You know what I mean? He won't be a part of the future until he can prove that he's a part of the future. So there is a number of moves now. Starting pitching, it's great, some of the best in baseball, but there's not that many of them.
Right.
So that might be a concern. Last year they were 17-10 through the month of April. They went 11-16 or 11-17 in the month of May, and that's where their season kind of turned around a little bit. 500 first month A-okay. I'm okay with it. Let's see what they can do going forward.
Yeah, I've been enthused. I think the big conversation going into this season was, can their pitching staff, equal what we saw last year? And last year they were incredibly healthy. Now, we've seen some drop off from Bassett. I still think that, Gosman, it's there, right? Remember, he had the late start to the season. I think the velocity, his confidence, everything seems to be back up there. The 3-2 loss we just talked about, 3 unearned runs, that wasn't really his fault.
Nope.
They're good. And boy, you say Kikuchi. Barrios we knew about. I think Barrios we expected. Because they had given that contract. They signed it. They got him in the deal. They signed him to a long-term contract. There was expectations there. He's fulfilling them. But you say Kikuchi, he is like, he's going to give you, now he's not going to give you 8.
No.
He's not going to give you 7. But he's going to throw 101 pitches over 6 innings and just battle. And he seems to come out of it.
Okay, I will say this to you.
Okay.
I was at the game on Saturday against the Dodgers, and he was not good.
Hey?
Now, that Dodgers lineup, it is something to see live.
Right. Did you boo, by the way?
I did boo. Yeah, I did boo. Because it is, I was there, paid for a ticket. I did boo. I appreciate who he is, but that's the fun about being a fan, too. And that's the that's the passion of the fan that I think even Ohtani would respect. That we wanted him. You didn't choose us. You chose that other dance partner. So you get booed when you come to the plate.
You love what he did in game 1 of this series,
totally.
Eh? Pow!
Totally.
First and back.
And listen, so everybody's booing him. He hits it out. And the Dodgers commentator was the best. He's just like, boo that. Great. And that's what, again, as I say over and over again, I say it all the time. We love stories. That's a great story, even if it's against your own team. That's fantastic. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Hey, speaking of booing, there's no reason to boo the OKC Oklahoma City Thunder. Youngest team to ever win based on average age an NBA playoff series. How far can this team go? They're our adopted friends. I'm so happy that you've adopted them in the morning. And of course, I do the same thing in the nighttime here at this station to promote the OKC Thunder and show the highlights and talk about our guy, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. How far can this team go?
Yeah, so they're young. I think you're just over on average, over 24 years of age. But does that matter? I know it's just like, well, you got to have some veterans to show you how to win, do you? Maybe they just don't know any better. You know what I mean? They got talent on that team, and they just cruise through the Pelicans. Ooh, the Pelicans, so scary. It's a Pelican. But it's been great to have SGA doing so well in a year that the Raptors have not done so well.
Great point.
So it's been able to still focus on the great game of basketball because it's so important in Hamilton, especially with men's and women's basketball. But the importance of the Olympics coming for both our men and women going to Paris, and then having that other guy who plays for the defending champs, just down the road from here in Kitchener, hitting 2 game-winning shots and ousting LeBron and the Lakers. That's the story that I started with this morning, because that's like, I'm talking Jamal Murray, what he's doing. I don't know if as many people are talking about it as much, because there's a lot of this Leaf stuff, there's a lot of NHL playoff stuff, there's baseball stuff, but let's focus on some local kids doing some fantastic stuff in the playoffs right now. And imagine, Bubs, that Jamal and SGA get to play against each other in the conference finals, and then in a couple months play together in the backcourt in Paris at the Olympics.
Yeah, that's, and we've had, as I've brought up a couple times, Joe Razzo here that knows the NBA and every level of basketball so well, fully going out and saying right on this podcast that will be the best backcourt in the Olympics, in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Jamal Murray. And how it's hard to argue, especially if they're healthy and ready to go, right? No matter what the United States have to throw at this country, which gives us a tremendous advantage in that kind of a head-to-head matchup. But yeah, you're right. I think what's going on in OKC is so special. And, it is more than just... And I think that's the difference this year, is it's more than SGA. As he continues to grow in confidence and skill, now an NBA MVP, there's a team around him. And Presti, the GM, still has like 10 more number 1 draft picks that he can pick from as he got rid of all the likes of Durant and Harden and all these top players, Westbrook. He brought in tons of picks to grow a team like he's grown right now. And they have 57 wins in the regular season, Tim. They have to be way ahead of schedule.
Let's just say if they do win, what will the NBA model look like? Because it was always like, remember, you needed that 3-headed superstar monster.
Yes.
They have one superstar in SGA and a bunch of really good players. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like that Chet Holmgren, he's a rookie. He's fantastic. You know what I mean?
Just getting better.
Yeah. So they got a number of great players. So it's gonna. That's why it's kind of fascinating.
Lou Dort, another Canadian.
That's going to be in Paris,
right?
So. Yeah, it would be fascinating to see what they can do, and I always love the evolving perception about how to win, because there is no this is what you do to win. It isn't. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because everybody would follow that. So the script is always written differently, and that's why sports is so great.
I think NBA is a little different than, say, the NFL or even the National Hockey League in terms of, having to win before you lose and all that kind of stuff, or having to lose before you win. Sorry to put that sort of adage in there, because I think basketball is different. You're right. It's 5 guys, right? 5 guys on the court. And it's just, there's something different about it. But boy, I'm really excited about that team and what they can do right now. And every team, whether they play the Clippers or Dallas, because remember, it's a bracket style in the NBA, each one of those teams, including the defending champions, they've won the season series against. And you're right. The Nuggets versus the OKC Thunder, Jokic, SGA, like, who's going to win the MVP? That is going to be so much fun. And to see those two Canadians going toe-to-toe. And there's a little beef between those. I don't know if you know about that. There's a little beef there. Murray likes in the last time they played, in which OKC won big, he was talking about the fact that SGA likes to push off. He likes to push off people. So it kind of ignited a little fire, which I think is going to be fun. Maybe
he won't be complaining about it in Paris.
A little Canadian heat. Right. Hey, I don't know if you saw this or any one of you guys just checked out not only just the first night, but the second night and the third night. The NFL draft attracted over 775,000 people to the streets of downtown Detroit. 3 days. Now, is this whole thing overhyped to you?
I think so. Listen, it might be like a thing that, I don't know, because Detroit is butt of some jokes. They have never, the Lions are coming now, they're a good team now, but have been the butt of the NFL jokes for so long. So I think it was a community coming together that really wanted to show off to the NFL world. Right. Saying that too, you have 32 teams, fans converging on that city and making sure that they're there for that event. But isn't it crazy that you're standing back a couple hundred yards, even further than that if you have that many people, on them just calling names of like possible future players? Well, they're going to be playing, but there is an immediacy with the NFL. I do understand that. Like, if these first round picks are going to be playing on your team, even second and third round picks are going to be playing on your team in the next year. But it doesn't jazz me. I don't know. I don't really understand it.
No, I'm a huge football fan. Football is my number one sport, and I'm blown away by, like, how many times, how much enjoyment can you get out of booing the commissioner, right? Yeah. Like, how many, because he's got to walk out 30-some times and then whatever. And then imagine being a fan. You go there, Bills fan. Yeah. Here's the perfect example here. Bills with the 28th pick. Then they trade it down to the number 33. Number 33 pick, which means the first pick of the next day. You've been hanging around for hours, and your team trades the pick.
But I think it just goes to show the strength of the NFL community. That it's not about the game. It's about everything surrounding the game. It's a 12-month thing.
It is.
If you watch ESPN, I know we don't get it up here, but we get it through TSN. They're talking about the NFL every single day. Every day, right through that. Like, they'll be talking about it. They talk about it every day. So it just goes to
how do you get that hype for other sports?
The strength of the product, and I don't know, the benefit of having a fan base like like that. You just wish we just don't have the people to have the rabid energy about the league that we have up here. Right. And I think to the hindrance of the NFL.
Right.
You know what I mean? CFL draft is tonight.
Tonight.
Does anybody know it's tonight?
You know my position with the CFL and what I do. And I'm going to tell you right now, ,85% of the country don't even know that the CFL draft is tonight.
Yeah, no idea.
You know, and I give TSN some credit. They've tried to jazz it up a little bit. The commissioner's there. He's at a podium. Now, he's not in front of anyone other than the panel and TSN in their studios. So they've tried to jazz it up a little bit. I remember a time being in with way back, Ron Lancaster, and being inside their room, their room, and everyone's doing the draft on a phone. I saw it on a phone.
Yeah.
Right? And we're filming it, with CHH camera on the phone. Like
I understand too, because like the Leafs are playing tonight. Like that's what most of the countries or any sports fans going to be watching.
Oh,
the Jays are playing. So when it comes to the TV aspect, you can't put that together. You can't put that package together. So we'll be on tonight and we'll follow it and we'll have it on the shows and whatever we can get. But yeah, like I don't know who's going to be the number one pick of the NFL or the CFL draft tonight.
It's generally a player that's playing in the United States.
Yes, generally, but sometimes they're worried about those players not coming up here,
right.
so they go for the Canadian player.
But as Tim would have it, hopefully there's a good story to be told.
There you go. Way to bookend it, bud.
Thanks for joining us, pal.
Yeah,
always a pleasure.
Love it.
Good luck to your Leafs tonight.
Oh man,
can you imagine?
Well, I was saying today that like a Sportsline for me on my show is going to be interesting tomorrow. So I was just trying to think: is it going to be? Yeah, are we
You're
looking
leading
ahead?
with the Leafs.
No, I know that.
Okay.
But what's the story?
Okay.
What's the story that we're talking about?
The story is Annette just babying you.
Yes.
Just
right.
caressing you and just making sure you're okay, rubbing your back.
But at the same point, like I don't get as upset anymore because it's almost expected.
That's
you know what I mean?
Tim.
No, I know it is sad. I'm not saying I'm proud of it, but it's just like that's where the fandom has come to until they rejuvenate us. Help us. Lead us.
There is that thing that people are saying around to maybe make feel better about themselves that the Bruins did blow a 3-1 lead against.
Yeah.
And they were the best team of all time, and they blew a 3-1 first-round series lead to the Florida Panthers.
Let's see what they can do.
Let's just think that the Boston Bruins are pretty reminded of what happened to them last year.
They're talking, what's Sportsline? What are they talking about in Boston Day on Sportsline? Their Sportsline podcast saying, let's not let that happen again. See you, Bubs.
Sportsline Square Off podcast edition is done for the day. And as you've just seen and heard, we love talking sports, especially with people that have all kinds of passion. If you want to join the fun or promote an athlete, team, or event, the Sportsline podcast do want to hear from you. Please hit that thumbs up, 5-star, and subscribe button so you can catch all the entertaining content on CHCH that you do need to know. For the wonderful people that push all the buttons and get the camera angles and make us look good and make that Sportsline podcast possible. Thank you so very much, and we'll see you tomorrow, folks.